is it cheaper because it's easy? You know, I'm just sitting here watching podcasts, reading websites that I love. I also get emails from Patreon, and they have a blog where they talk about content creation. We're in like the process of making income by doing what you love, which interests me. Like I think it would interest absolutely anybody. But it gets me to thinking. So one of the barriers I think psychologically to doing something like Patreon or making a blog or anything like that is it feels like you're doing something kind of cheap and amateurish. Uh, the way to overcome that is to realize that just because technology is here and facilitates things doesn't mean that necessarily the things become worth less. There is the aspect to saturation that because there is so much of a thing, you value it less. It's just kind of natural to do that. You know, I had a whole box of donuts. When I had that whole box of donuts, I wasn't particularly worried about the donuts. Now that the donuts have gone away, there's like 3 donuts left. I'm starting to value those donuts, starting to watch when I consume them, and kind of enjoying it more. I'm like, this is good. I'm not gonna have another donut until I go through the hassle of heading on out to the grocery store. I know my life is hard, the struggle. But here's the thing, though. This chair is squeaky. I'm sorry. Aside from my squeaky chair, the thing of it is for some reason I still get the hang up that the websites that I read, the YouTube channels that I watch are not as worthwhile as things of the past. This is kind of a nebulous thing, kind of hard to describe here, but I'm hoping it's going to make sense. So it just feels like that a book, like say Michael Crichton's books, like The Lost World here, it got published, it ran through the ringer of editors, etc., and you have this finished product that's a book that's got this corporate, quote-unquote, backing to it. And there is something to be said for that process, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what made it good. Like, for instance, say Michael Crichton or someone of the same caliber, or even not even necessarily someone that great of a writer or filmmaker or whatever, decides to make something and put it out there. Now, that's more possible. So more people are doing it. That doesn't cheapen it, that there's no review board, that there's no middleman. The fact that the middleman has been taken out of the equation somewhat does not cheapen the content, because what's in here certainly was probably helped by some editing, but all in all, the product that came from Michael Crichton or from any of these new types of people, whether they're doing blogging, etc., is still pretty much the same. It's just that you don't feel like you're getting as valid of a thing because there's not a difficulty in producing it. That's what I was getting at. God, I had lost that point and now you have to suffer through me meandering. Yeah, so, for instance, having to run something through a printing press, like if you imagine a long time ago, the old school printing presses, which were very analog, and the conveyor belts and the like. I don't really know how that has all changed. I don't know technical aspects of it, but just kind of from the movies of the time, like 90s and before, you picture these things. And it's just a very good physical way of seeing this intellectual product get turned into a tangible good. Whereas now, with MP3s and YouTube and cloud storage, we can just instantly access all of this hard work that people did. And so it just makes it feel like less of a thing. But the other people on the end of this line, they're doing a lot of very hard work. Well, it depends on who they are, but we shouldn't allow that to dampen our enthusiasm for what we're getting. Because I definitely have taken content creators, writers, bloggers for granted, and have definitely done less content creation of my own just because of this odd feeling that somehow it's just amateurish and not worth it. And it's absolutely worth it. Not for the monetary reward, but for the joy of putting something out there that will hopefully either entertain, inform, or give some kind of catharsis to somebody. And I feel like this is a psychological barrier that's being overcome, and it will be overcome as we all see that we can all indeed create things of value if we put our minds to it, and that these ideas about an expert producing something that's somehow more tangibly difficult because reasons goes away. I'm hoping this is making sense. I'm being a little less coherent than I would like, but I wanted to go ahead and make this video because I was just in a very talkative mood. It's late at night here, and I don't think I'm going to get anything much more substantive done, even though I do consider this fairly substantive. So, yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? You tell me. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.